Welcome back to the lab. It's that fuzzy bit between Christmas and New Year's where most people have no idea what day it is, how many days till they go back to work and all that sort of carry on. I'm acutely aware of what day it is. We've got like 9 days to get this car tuned and ready to go on the track. I've proceeded with some pretty extreme weight removal techniques. Nah, it's too hot, that's all. Get rid of all that fluff. We don't need that. It's too hot. Let's have a look at what I've been up to. Somewhere earlier on, one of the videos, might have been the last one I showed you, I put, they're actually still just hiding over there. There they are there. 4 fuel drums along here, so we had 80 kgs on the front splitter and it's holding that up quite fine. There's no real distortion or anything like that, so I'm pretty happy with that. But there's just still a little bit floppy out here, a little bit of flex out here, so they're pretty ugly. But I've put a couple of braces on there just to stop it fluttering. The actual force on there won't be a big problem. It's probably going to handle that all right, but it possibly will get a big flutter going on, and once they start doing that, it's all bad. Working, just fiddling around really, trying to integrate this silver bumper. It's not quite the right silver, but we're not particularly worried about that at this point in time. Integrating that into the rest of the colour scheme on the car, because that looks like rubbish. Definitely looks like it's a new bumper and stuck on there. It doesn't line up with anything. Had to play around with a couple of things and sort of came up with maybe doing that, and we could do a similar thing on the other side, and I think that probably works reasonably well. Amount of effort versus rewards. There's obviously some sort of, there's a little bit of a problem here, but in the scheme of things, I think that'll tidy up and look relatively good until such time as we get on with the rest of everything that we want to do that we haven't had. We've had plenty of time that I just haven't got myself organised and got done. Fiddled in here. Hang on. That should look a little bit tidier than what it has in the past. It's not perfect, it's not finished, it's not insulated yet, until we get all this tuning stuff out of the way and make sure that I haven't actually put a problem in the car that caused the symptoms that we had. At this point in time, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's something really silly. We'll go into that later, but I've made that nicer. So I've tipped all those relays up vertical. These were all lying horizontal over here, back this way, and it's tiny amounts of weight. We do want to shift weight forward on this car, so I just thought it'd look tidier if they're all vertical and the wiring was all tucked away underneath there, and it just hides it a little bit. And just, if you can't see it, it can't look ugly, and that'll help, right? It'll make it look more presentable. So I think bit of a win there, a little bit of time. A few wires ended up being shorter and all that sort of carry on. The car's a minuscule amount lighter than what it was before, but it just looks better and it'll be easier to change the relays and all that sort of carry on. Speaking of making it a minuscule amount lighter, all our screws have gone to countersunk screws on these rear windows, just fluffing around, right? So they had button head screws like these ones on there. I haven't done these ones yet, probably will, just to do it, I didn't weigh those particular screws, but it might have been the engine cover. I changed the bolts that hold the engine cover for some slightly shorter ones, some more appropriate ones, and there was 20 grams in it by the time I'd done that. So I can lose 20 grams pretty quickly. I won't go into dirty discussions on how that can happen, but 20 grams can disappear pretty quickly from a person. But by the time you've done it several times with several things, you're onto a win. So they look better, basically, is all that was all about. It just looks nicer. It looks like it should be countersunk, so it's flusher, so you get better airflow and less weight. We've only got probably 700 horsepower, so it's pretty important to get this sort of thing right? Yeah. Actually, semi-sarcastic, semi-serious. Like a lot of time attack cars, they have a heap more than 700 horsepower. We'll see how we get on. The seat's been moved back a little bit. I got in there and I sat in there and did brum brum noises and decided I actually don't like quite where that seat is, so it's moved. I've actually taken the brackets and swapped them side to side to get the seat to move back the tiniest amount, like about 15 millimeters, and it just made all the difference. Feels a lot better. I even washed the cover on the foam here, so that all looks brand new again. Well, nearly brand new, right? It looks pretty good. Not sure, I think I showed you the carbon fibre panel in there holding the bottom of the dash. That's done. Other than that, I don't think a lot's happened. Oh wait, yes, something did happen. I replaced all except for one piece of carbon fibre, fake carbon fibre. All the top bits are all looking fresh, minty fresh. The car has actually had a bit of a clean. It is basically ready to go. It's got the fuel in it. It just needs a tune, and if nothing goes wrong with the tune, we'll be able to get on the track and drive it. I will replace this piece. It's not terrible, but it just looks a little bit manky compared to everything else, so I'll peel that off and get that done and clean this window, which is dirty again. Up under here, I talked about there was a little bit of paint missing. I've put the paint back actually on this prop shaft. This is the rear section that runs to the, you can't see it, rear diff that's way up in here somewhere. Wait for the torch. Does it work? There it is. There's the diff flange. So this runs past the gearbox, which has had a notch out of the bell housing. It's very, you can't quite see it. The lighting's not good and the angle's very bad. It's very close to the ring gear there. We're talking maybe 4 millimeters of clearance. So the engine rotates that way so that this side of the ring gear goes up. And actually when the car is going forward, the prop shaft runs that way as well. So you don't have, at least we don't have different directions of the surface. However, this will be rotating considerably faster than that. If that were to touch that ring gear that's in there, that's a bad thing for obvious reasons. This is thick wall tube. It's not going to chew through it in a hurry. You'll certainly hear it and know about it. It'll start damaging the ring gear before long, although that's hardened steel. It's more likely to machine this. It's a bad situation. So it shouldn't have moved as far as it did. Assuming it did actually touch it while it was in operation, the paint could quite easily have been chipped off. As you can see elsewhere, while I've been mucking around doing other things, and then I've looked at it and gone, oh, it's touched that, oh, panic stations. It may not have. There certainly wasn't any marks on the metal to indicate there was any serious contact, just a bit of paint missing, which made me think I'm going to do something with that just in case. So as I mentioned earlier on, I took some material off this side of this bracket here, which lowered that side, tipped the shaft that way, pulled it away from there a little bit further, gave us some more clearance. There never used to be a bolt in here, but there is now, and I'll show you why. I've made, is that going to be, that's better lighting, there you go. I've made a little insert that goes in there. That shaft should never move that far to touch that, but if it does, it's nice and smooth surface, it's rounded, it's not going to chew into it, and it will physically stop that shaft from being able to move far enough to come into contact with the ring gear, which, as I've said, would be a bad thing. I don't think it did touch it, but it just gave me the impression that it may have, and I thought I'd better take action to make sure it doesn't. Panels are on the bottom of the car again. I literally just took this one off so that you guys could see what we did here. It can just run on dyno like that. The car is basically at the point now. I've done my wheel alignment and everything. I'm not going to put any fences on here at the moment. It's pretty much ready to go on the trailer. To either go and get a tune or go to the racetrack. But probably it does need a tune first. So we just have to see what we can do with that. Alright, my little girl's telling me I said I'll do a few minutes. So I've been a little bit longer than that, so I better get inside and deal with her. Thanks for watching. Alright, cheers, bye.